Hey, Mr. Robinson here. All right, business is about to pick up a little bit. I'm here. You're welcome. So today we're going to look at in civics and economics, which I'm teaching here. We're going to look at what's known as the French and Indian War. Okay, this is in 17 in the 1750s, 1760s. All right, you have the French and Indian War between Great Britain and France. France was allied with the Native Americans at this point. And the reason we're studying this is because the French and Indian War preceded the American Revolution, which we'll get to later this week. But a lot of the causes of the American Revolution are directly related to the French and Indian War. Okay, the causes of the American Revolution came about because of this French and Indian War. All right, in some aspects. So that's what I'm going to go over through these slides. There's going to be an assignment on Canvas at the end of it. I may have already posted it, but I'll send out an email with this video as well as the notes on the French and Indian War to help you with the assignment. So let's go ahead and go. France's empire. So if you look at the picture here, France owned a large portion of what is now or what is North America. All right, and later the United States is going to get a lot of that in something known as the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, I believe. But look at what all France owns. Great Britain only really the eastern seaboard, the eastern coast. Not even all of that. You know, you have Florida down there, which the Spanish owned. So France, they own a lot of this land here. They had a better relationship with the Native Americans than the English did. The English wanted to expand. All right, so they're wanting to expand along and move right here to into France's territory. So basically, the English border is in line with the Appalachian Mountains, that mountain chain. So they wanted to move past that and keep exploring more land because land is what? It's money. All right, everybody wants to get their hands on some money. The Native Americans resisted the English expansion. And the French, they're like, hey, we don't want the English to expand over here, so we're going to team up with the Native Americans and stop the English from expanding its empire. So now you're going to have problems. During this time period, the French and the British were constantly fighting and constantly at war with each other. There's a picture of the first president of the United States, George Washington, in case you didn't know that, he's the first one. That's him as a young officer in the Virginia militia, but he was a Virginian colonist, and the Virginia militia was basically in the British Army. So he participated in this war, the French and Indian War, on the side of the British. Again, there was an old rivalry. The two preeminent empires really in Europe. I mean, the Spanish were there too, but there was an old rivalry. They were constantly warring with each other. In 1754 is when this thing starts, this French and Indian War. It ignites. The French were building forts in Virginia on the border there. All right, and the British wanted to expand even into French territory. So there's a dispute over this land. Virginia government and the governor sends the militia led by our man G. Dub or George Washington. Is the more proper name. People always say G Dub, or at least my students say that. I'm trying to sound more in line with you guys. Maybe get some cool points here, all right, by calling him that. But no, it's George Washington. All right, so he goes in to fight the French. To start, the French and Indians won a lot of battles. Okay, so what's happening here? And this is where I'm going to get to. There's the assignment here, the beginning of the assignment. The French and Indians are winning. French and Indians are winning a lot of battles. So the colonists say, "Wait, we need to unite. All right, if we're going to defeat the French." So we have what's known as the Albany Plan of Union. It's like the first time the colonists from different colonies. Remember yesterday we talked about those different those different regions, how they were different, the different colonies. Okay, you have the northern colonies were founded on a religious purpose, Massachusetts Bay, Puritans. The southern colonies were founded for an economic purpose. All right, now with this Albany Plan of Union, you have a plan to unite the colonies. The first one that's ever really happened. So they're debating forming a central government. Now this is key because it's the first time it's ever happened. And then once the revolution kicks off, which we're going to study later this week, uh, uniting all these different colonies together as one it's a big problem. All right, think about how big just the how different places in North Carolina are. All right, united it and then just North Carolina. Now think about all the 13 different colonies. It would be very hard when they did this. So, anyways, there's a battle at Quebec. The British get control. It's a turning point of the conflict. All right, in the conflict, basically France lost. They lose some land. All right. There's the big thing I'm going to get to here that you need to know about this French and Indian War is the problems it created. Okay. So the big one, the first one started off is um, the proclamation of 1763, the end of the war. This is one a big problem. So the British basically tell their colonists, you are not to go west of the Appalachian Mountains. Don't go there because we don't want more conflict with the Native Americans, all right, or the Indians. Well, you know, there's a story, um, an old story where what it's human nature to do something or to try to do something if you're told not to do it. In other words, the old story I'm talking about. Hey, don't go in that garden. Don't eat that apple. What does she do? She goes in there. Hey, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna eat that apple. Okay. Don't tell you tell a little kid, don't touch that stove. It's hot. All right. What do they have to kind of do? They have to at least put their hand near the stove to find out for themselves if it's really hot. All right. So hey, don't go across this line. Well, it's kind of human nature to say, well, hey, maybe I'm going to go across that line and see what's over there. Why are they telling me not to go over there? All right, I want to find out for myself. Why not? And they, the colonists wanted more land. They want to expand out and get their own land. So this is part of the resentment that the colonists begin to have for the British government. The British telling them not to do this. All right. The next thing is that the British were heavily in debt because of the war, and that's part of the reason why they did not want the colonists to go past the Appalachian Mountains because they didn't want more conflict. Because guess what? Wars cost money; they're not cheap. Trust me. So when I was sent to the Middle East, think about this. When I go to the Middle East, when I went to the Middle East, the government, taxpayers have to fly me over there. They have to pay for all my equipment to go over there. Then they have to feed me while I'm over there. They have to house me while I'm over there. God forbid if I get hurt, all right, then they have to foot the medical bill for me. All these things, all right, go into, and I have to get paid too, right? So all these things go into making war, All right, it's expensive, and the British government was tired of that. They were tired of paying for that. So colonists, don't go across this line. So we don't want any more problems with the Native Americans. Also, the British were heavily in debt from that French and Indian War. All right, so now the government's in debt. So how are we going to get out of debt? How does the government get its money? Taxes. All right, that's a big part. A big part of civics is taxes. So they're heavily in debt over this French and Indian War. All right, so they're going to do things. This is what we're going to get to tomorrow. But they're going to do things now that really makes the colonists mad. Really, the taxes. All right, then they start to restrict the trade that they can do. In other words, you can't trade with the French. You can only trade with the British. You can only buy British goods because the British government needs this money to pay off the war debt. Well, what do the colonists resort to doing? They start smuggling their own goods in, all right, because they don't want to pay for those British goods that are overpriced, that are overtaxed. So that's one of the questions on your assignment here. All right. So the tensions have built up. This and tomorrow we're going to look at some more of the tensions, specifically getting into these acts. So this French and Indian War, it's kind of like the starting point for all of these this resentment and this rebellion that begins to grow. Starts really after this French and Indian War. All right, so I'm going to send this out to you. I'm also going to put the notes on Canvas, all right, along with the assignment. There'll probably, let's see, yeah, I'll probably do another video and another assignment tomorrow, okay, for your class. And then we'll try to get through this rebellion. Maybe I don't know if we'll get through it by the end of this week, but then next week sometime there's going to be a Unit 1 test. All right. So if you have any questions, please email me.